When the first light touched the cove, Rowan came down the path with a question that had been following him for months. What if I am not enough? It wasn't dramatic, just persistent, like a bathroom dripping tap you learn to ignore. A gull drew a single note across the sky. The tide, patient as ever, folded itself over the shore and let go again. Rowan stood where the sand was firm with water, the place where footprints are made and unmade within minutes, and felt oddly comforted by this honest vanishing, this immediacy. There was someone already there, an older woman in a wool hat, kneeling beside a rock pool with the tender focus people usually reserve for a sleeping child. She glanced up and nodded, then went back to watching the water. Rowan hovered. Do you mind if I... Plenty of room, she said. The sea is generous. Rowan knelt too, shoulder to shoulder, and peered into the clear bowl of water. Tiny fish flickered like punctuation marks. A cluster of anemones opened and closed in slow time, as if the morning had its own heartbeat and they were keeping pace with it. What are you looking for? Rowan asked. I never know until I see it, the woman said, but I always find something that steadies me. Rowan smiled politely the way you do when someone says something that sounds like a fortune cookie. The woman noticed. You're carrying a question, she said, not unkindly. Rowan exhaled. I am. It follows me around and I keep thinking, if I do more, become more, I'll outrun it. And does that work? The lady asked. For an hour, sometimes a day. The woman dipped a finger into the pool. The water rippled, then settled. This pool teaches me 3 things, she said. First, disturbance is not failure. Ripples come and ripples go. Second, what's alive doesn't rush to prove it. These creatures are busy with being. Third, clarity returns when the wind softens. I can't force that from the sky. Rowan watched the ripples smooth themselves. I don't know how to soften, he said. It feels like I'm made of corners. Remember that phrase, guys. Feels like I'm made of corners. It seems to fit, doesn't it? Softening is a practice, not a personality, the woman replied. We mistake effort for worth. Effort is fine. It just isn't the measure of a life. A small smile arrived between them, companionable as the tide. The woman stood and brushed sand from her knees. Her hat was an old green that had faded with wear and love. I'm Mara, she said. Locals call me the Pebble Keeper. Why? Rowan asked. Instead of answering, Mara walked along the tide line and selected 3 smooth pebbles, each one the size of a good promise. She placed them in Rowan's open palm. Here, she said, carry these today. Rowan turned them over. One was grey-blue with a pale stripe, one the colour of tea with milk, one a small moon. What do they mean? Whatever you need them to. But I'll offer a story for each. They sat on a driftwood log, the sort that looks like it took a long time to arrive and is in no hurry to leave. Mara held up the striped pebble. Years ago, I kept a list of ways to improve myself. It was a clever list. It grew teeth. I woke and slept by it, and still It was never done. One morning I came here and saw the tide draw a white line on the sand and take it back again. A line, a letting go. I decided to try one small kindness before any improvement. Drink a full glass of water before coffee. It changed nothing, and then it changed everything. I learned that being enough is not a gate you earn the key for, it's a path you walk in small, merciful steps. Rowan weighed the pebble in his hand and felt something in his ribs loosen just a notch. Mara lifted the tea-coloured stone. This one reminds me of a time I used to talk about time as if it were a thief. But down here, time walks beside you. It leaves patterns at your heels and shows you what to keep. The meeting, the apology, the nap you finally allowed, the walk where you noticed the light on a window and felt briefly, inexplicably glad. When time is a companion, you stop bargaining with it and start walking. She placed the pebble back, then took the small moon of a stone between finger and thumb. And this one. This is for attention. Years ago, I thought attention meant holding the water still. Then a heron taught me otherwise. It stood so quiet, it made quiet around it, not because it forced the river to stop, but because it belonged to the moment more than the moment belonged to it. Attention is belonging to a moment, that's all. Rowan closed his fingers around the 3 pebbles. So I carry these and what? My life rearranges itself? Mara laughed softly. If only. No, you carry them and you rearrange yourself by degrees, by inches. A pebble in a pocket is an honest weight. It remembers for you when your mind forgets. When you reach for your phone, you'll feel it and maybe look at the sky instead. When you start the day at a sprint, it might slow your first sip of water. When the old question nips your heels, it might remind you to stand where the sea writes and erases and writes again. Rowan felt the shape of the pebbles and wondered how many times he'd tried to fix a feeling with an achievement. It was, he realised, like trying to mend the tide with a bucket. I'll repeat that. He felt the shape of the pebbles and wondered how many times he tried to fix a feeling with an achievement. It was, he realised, like trying to mend the tide with a bucket. What if I fail at this? Rowan said. Mara gestured at the cove. Look, every wave arrives incomplete and is forgiven at once. If the sea can be generous with its own breaking, perhaps you can be generous with yours. They sat together and watched the light lift itself carefully over the water. A dog trotted past, shook at the edge of the foam, and went on, pleased with nothing in particular. Do you come here every day? Rowan asked. Most days, Mara said. Some days the wind is contrary and I stay home. The practice isn't in never missing a morning, it's in returning without a lecture. Rowan thought of the lists, the corners, the running. He thought of 3 small weights in a pocket, teaching the hand what the mind kept forgetting. Thank you, he said. Mara nodded. Questions rarely leave when you chase them, but they do get tired when you carry them kindly. She stood, patted her coat for her keys, and looked out to the line where the sky met the sea. Take one more thing, if you like. A sentence to carry with the stones. Rowan waited patiently. Enough. is something I practice, not something I prove. The tide crept a little higher, murmuring its agreement against the shingle. Rowan slipped the pebbles safely into his pocket. He felt humble and oddly taller. "Will I see you again?" Rowan asked. "Almost certainly," Mara said. "I'm very bad at leaving this place for long." She walked away along the curve of the bay, a small figure becoming smaller, then turning the corner of the headland and vanishing. The sea continued its unhurried work. The rock pool held a portion of the morning sky and did not ask to hold more. Rowan stood where the sand was firm with water and let the next move wash around his ankles. The old question still hovered nearby, but with less authority, like a manager who'd lost the keys to the office. He began to walk back up the path, hand resting briefly against the pocket where the pebbles lived. A glass of water came to mind, a slow 10-minute walk without the phone, the tone of voice he would use with himself, the tone of voice he would use with a tired friend, offered to himself. At the top of the steps, Rowan turned for one last look. The cove seemed to nod as if to say, "Carry on. I'll be here, practicing too." And Rowan did carry on into a day that was not perfect, not finished, but spacious enough to walk one small, merciful step at a time.